As much as we try to run towards or away from the past, the cruelty of time does not allow. We can only stand trapped in stagnation or move forward. Spike, Jet, Faye and Ed were all a part of the Bebop for one reason or another, and the Bebop meant something different to each one of them. To Jet, the Bebop would be created as a place of solace, attempting to move on from his past, but as far as he travelled away from Ganymede, his home, the relationship he had with Elisa, her broken pocket watch that was frozen in time, and his black dog title were things he couldn't let go of. A title that was indicative of not only who he was as a police, but how he treated the past, one that bites its prey and never lets go. But after fulfilling his last mission as the black dog at his home planet, and reaching a resolution with Elisa, he finally felt the ease to let go of his past, throwing away the broken watch that froze him in time and moving on. While he later considered returning to his old police life, witnessing the very corruption that drove him out of the police force in the first place within his own partner solidified his place on the Bebop. The prime of his life had already been lived through and moved on. It was on the Bebop, as much as he struggled to admit or even realize it due to his loyalty to the past, that he found what he had always wanted, even if it was only briefly. Companionship, a family, one that didn't leave a sour taste in his mouth. To Spike, Faye and Ed, the Bebop would be a temporary stopping point in their lives, however the flight would lead them all to completely different destinations. Faye, a woman who had no recollection of her past, was thrown into the harsh reality of the future, trapped by the crushing depth of a person from another life. But as much as she didn't belong in this time, she still found a home. But eventually this home would betray her, leaving Faye in a more pained state than when she woke up. Moving forward, she'd live her life in solitary, for the sole purpose of survival and taking advantage of others, denying relationships and her feelings as nothing but a burden. But in doing so, Faye became an even greater victim of her past, unable to move beyond her trauma. To continue to stay the same would lead to a miserable life, one without a place to call home. A place to belong was all she wanted, which contradicted with her survival instincts to distrust others and to not stay in one place for too long. So when the opportune moment of realizing her past came, with the only person she ever trusted being herself, she took it. After all, she got this far by herself, by her own will. But a whole lifetime on Earth had gone without her, friends now with grandchildren and loved ones gone, with the only trace of her home being the one she made from her own memory. Everything about the girl she once was seemingly dead. In completing the pursuit of her past, Faye once again had even less than what she woke up with no purpose nor home. Far too much had changed from her childhood, and made it impossible to return to what little of her past that still existed. But it was in understanding and accepting her past that she remembered how to care, to be vulnerable, and found the answer that was always in front of her, the Bebop. The only place that she had ever previously opened up to about her past, even if it was to Ein, a dog, but a member of the crew nonetheless. Faye finally realized that she had a home to fight for, though in the end, like before, she'd be hurt for opening her heart. But unlike before, she did so willingly, knowing the consequences. To show value, appreciation, and love to those most important to you, despite the hurt it may bring, is a part of life. Spike views the world through an artificial eye and a real one that sees the past and the other the present, constantly haunted by the nightmares of the Red Dragon, unable to see a new future without them. He left things in the fridge and remained stagnant in life. His time on the Bebop was merely a dream he couldn't wake up from, an escape from his violent life within the syndicate that was reality, but wasn't the escape that he longed for. So he'd continue standing still, waiting for the past to catch up to him, simply surviving as a bounty hunter, often acting in a distant, careless and selfish manner, ready to leave those around him without a moment's notice. But it was a facade. He did care. The Bebop wasn't just another group of people with problems he could ignore and move on from like those he'd come across with bounties. They were almost family, and he shared genuine companionship with them. However, as close as he got to the crew and as much as time went on, his heart remained stuck in the past and refused to open, to find a new home. The Bebop was always an escape, but never truly a home, a second chance that he never took, and was simply a temporary breather from his life. As much as he ran, he couldn't hide, as he never truly took a step to move forward, which is why his past life within the syndicate eventually caught up to him, and when it did, he shouldered everything on his own. As a character, he remained static, which prevented him from moving beyond the weight of his violent acts, regrets and old ties, dying with only his old past, Julia, on his mind, unable to ever live his future. Spike, Jet, and Faye's lives before the Bebop are presented in ambiguous, brief, and scattered cuts, never in its entirety. The climaxes of their lives are behind them, and this is a story that focuses on the falling action. The end credits itself, for instance, tells us more about Spike's tragic history than most of the episodes in the series. Much like the viewers, this suggests that they themselves do not completely understand their past, or that the minor details have lost meaning with time, with the only most poignant memories still important, remembered, and painful, conveying the magnitude of time that has occurred, but not quite enough to eliminate the constant lingering of those memories in present-day actions. In one way or another, these three are deeply scarred by their histories, unable to outrun or relive it. Unlike the other three, Ed's past is never explored or shown in flashbacks, not even a single cut, only described through vague exposition within present day. Appropriately, she's the only one on the Bebop crew who isn't chained to her past, and was the only one to truly move forward beyond whatever history she had: her father, the orphanage, and the Bebop. Cowboy Bebop is a story of 4 characters with individualistic mindsets, shaped by troubled and painful pasts or upbringing, and how they deal with the present with the climax of their lives behind them, or in Ed's case, ahead of her. It's this quality of their lives that makes them so distant to each other, but ironically what brings them together in the first place. As much as we may try to forget, run, or escape from our past, it will always catch up, yet be out of reach. And we can choose to face it, find a new home, move on, or move forward. Because one way or another, you're going to carry that weight.